This week in Spartan Sports, women's golf wins Mountain West title in dominant fashion. Ranked number 5 San Jose State women's golf took the iconic leap into Poppy's Pond after winning the Mountain West Championship by 30 strokes with a minus 4.860. Individually, the Spartans dominated during the championship as Un finished first, Lopez Ortega placed second, and Arifal tied for third. SJSU dominated the first round from the beginning, fueled by Un's incredible round. The Spartans opened up a 12-stroke lead after day one and never looked back. The Spartan season isn't over though, as they will continue their dominance at NCAA Regionals May 9th through 11th. Story by Autumn Blue. Spartans dominate in singles matches. San Jose women's tennis team won against Utah State 4-1 to secure its second conference win of the season. The Spartans won all their single sets after having a rough start to the day. The Spartans have struggled away from home, but they were able to secure the much-needed victory. San Jose State will play their final game of the season against Boise State Saturday at 2 p.m. Next week, the Spartans will head into the Mountain West Championship in Tucson, Arizona. Story by Aiden Bostick. Spartans edge out Nevada. San Jose State baseball went to battle with a formidable Nevada Wolfpack Friday at Excite Ballpark in what resulted in a 6-5 nail-biter of a victory for the Spartans. Hunter Darrow opened the floodgates early, hitting a home run to put SJSU up 3-0 in the bottom of the first inning. With the bases loaded, Landon Walt doubled to center field in the 6th inning, giving the Wolfpack the lead 5-4. The Spartans look to continue their dominance against Nevada Saturday at home with first pitch at 2:05 p.m. Story by Navin Krishnan. SJSU softball swept by Boise State. The San Jose State women's softball team played Boise State on the road this weekend. The Spartans had their first game against the Broncos Friday afternoon but lost 8-0. Freshman outfielder Jules Ronquillo was the only player to record a hit, an infield single in the 4th inning. This was SJSU's only chance during Friday's game as the bases were loaded and 2 outs, but still the Spartans couldn't bounce back and take possession. The Spartans had one more chance during the top of the 5th but weren't able to get any hits. The game ended with a mercy rule 10-1 Broncos win. SJSU's only hit during Sunday's game was from junior infielder Figueroa during the 2nd inning. The Spartans' next game is this Wednesday against University of California in Berkeley at 3 p.m. Story by Autumn Blue. San Jose State goes 0-2 at MPSF Championship. The Spartans found themselves down early to a 24-2 Stanford team that has been relentless over the course of the season. San Jose State had no answer for a Stanford team that was firing on all cylinders, and it gave up 9 goals in the 3rd quarter alone. Riley Agerbeek and Sela David scored 2 goals for the Spartans in the 4th quarter, but the game was out of reach. In their second game of the MPSF Championship, the Spartans lost to the number 4 Indiana 5-11 in a game that was more winnable than Game 1. Olga Descalzi scored her first goal for the Spartans once again to tie at 1-1. Scylla Davis and Lauren Woodley also scored in the first, and they went into the second tied 3-3. The Spartans gave up 2 goals in the second and another 2 early in the third to go down 3-7. In the fourth, the Spartans gave up 4 goals unanswered and took their second loss on the weekend. The Spartans finished their season 11-16 and 0-6 in conference play, despite starting the season 6-2. San Jose State went 5-12 going into the MPSF Championship. Story by Aiden Bostick. The best thing I could come up with to ask Spartans head coach Brad Sanfilippo after a crushing 19-8 defeat against the Nevada Wolfpack was, "Do you want to rip the Band-Aid off?" For all the lovely moments I get to experience, the dreaded post-game press conference preceding an ugly loss adds some prickly thorns to a beautiful rose bush. Sanfilippo chuckled at my attempt to avoid any awkward confrontation, but he knew just as well as I did from March 11th to 13th, the Spartans played some of their worst baseball all year. The team that won 6 games the previous season had lost 10 straight to the Wolfpack heading into the series was nowhere to be found. Spartans were knocked down, staring at the clouds that lay softly above them, and decided to get off their backs and deliver a skull-crushing uppercut. Story by Matt Weiner. Spartans end season with a loss to the Broncos. San Jose State women's tennis took a road trip to Boise State to close out its final Mountain West matches of the regular season. The Spartans started the road trip off with a win against Utah State Friday morning. While these matches may have some impact on SJSU's standings, gaining some momentum going into the Mountain West Championship next week could have a strong impact on their performance. Winning their last 2 duels of the season could give the Spartans an edge to start the tournament. Unfortunately for the Spartans, neither of the 2 remaining doubles pairing won their matches, giving them 1 point deficit going into the singles matches. While the Spartans wished they could have a lead and momentum going into their singles matches, their actual scenario was not foreign to them. More often than not, the team has lost the doubles point this year. Unfortunately for SJSU, this story was not a thriller, but rather a tragedy. The Spartans showed a wealth of fight on the court, but couldn't overcome the volleys from the Broncos. SJSU will close out its season next week at Mountain West Championship starting Wednesday, April 27th. Story by John Culbertson. And there's our weekly recap of Spartan Sports. Now to our interview with Navin Krishnan of the Spear, and he gives his insight on men's basketball.
The NBA playoffs is going on right now, but we are actually going to talk some college basketball with SJSU, and we have Navin Krishnan coming onto the show to talk about his opinion piece titled Men's Basketball Success in 2022-23 lies on its attention to detail. So thanks, Navin, for coming on the show.
Great to be here. Great to be here, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Navin, for coming on. And I just had one question. In your opinion piece, you talked about kind of 3 kind of details that you felt like the Spartans should improve upon. One of those was defense. So I was just wondering, based off your observations of the team and going into this upcoming season, what part of defense kind of needs to be adjusted? Is it something about their perimeter defense, maybe paint defense, or just kind of all around?
I think that all-out defense will come along if they start playing. If they put in the effort. I think effort is the main clause here. Obviously, coaches always preach that defense is as hard in mind, and that's actually really true. And I don't think it really changes. It obviously, the physicality, there's some aspects of the game that change throughout the different levels of basketball, but definitely it's the same game no matter where you play it. And I think that definitely it's the intensity. They have to rack it up. They have to play hard. And I said myself that they have to play smart too. And that defense is just TSU being tough, smart, and unselfish. And honestly, I think that the Spartans are leading in the right direction because obviously they had like one hell of a lackluster season, but definitely I think it's going to turn around this next year in the 2022-23. I think that attention to detail, it really just means that not just nitpicking, but being able to go out and say okay, here's our weaknesses, here's our strengths, this is what we have to work on. Definitely I think that they're going to turn around this next season, and I think that it won't really start with the stars, which is one thing that is amazing about defense. Is it doesn't have to be Amari Moore or Ibrahim Diallo to step up defensively. It can be the whole team, which we actually need. But definitely, I think it's going to start with the little things and the attention to detail, like I said, and hopefully everyone can key in and everyone can contribute defensively. I think that it's teamwork definitely. And it is intensity. It is, adjusting to, the grind of the season. But at the same time, it's all about heart and mind.
Awesome. So part of what you talk about in just on an individual level. So we can get to the team in just a minute here. But I just wanted to know, because you talk about Amari Moore, obviously he was the biggest story of the season in terms of his shooting improvement and almost doubling his scoring average over the previous season, shooting 42% from three-point range, which is a big deal, especially in college basketball. 42% means a lot more in the NCAA than it does in the NBA. And even then, it would be pretty good. But it's an individual improvement, right? It's not something that would necessarily, like, I just want to know, like, do you think that this is something that's really going to move the needle in terms of the team success for next year, or something that you can actually, like, build more of a game plan around? Or do we still have to see more improvement, not just from Moore, but also from the rest of the team in order to have this, like, translate to any sort of impact or any sort of increase in the winning column?
Definitely, I think it's definitely a team game, no matter how you look at it. And I think Moore's improvement actually shows how much the team believes in him and their camaraderie, their chemistry, even though it's just one player. Honestly, I feel like Moore's going to improve more, and it's hard to say that because he saw an amazing 42% from deep, which is, like you said, is really hard. I think that honestly, Moore's improvement shows that the capability of this team in terms of their potential. I think that definitely potential is not a word that I use lightly because it's sometimes a bit flukish, especially when it goes to the pros. I think Moore's going to have like another breakout, an even better season this 2020, 22, 23. But definitely, I feel like Moore's improvement shows that how much the team believes in him and how much, honestly, sentimentality comes in in a bundle with talent. And honestly, I think that they've designated him as a man. I think that definitely Moore's gonna have another breakout season, yes, but I think other guys are gonna follow in his footsteps because I think that this team's gonna get really excited as it comes to the when they come into training camp and like they start to obviously get off the load of the summer. They're going to work really hard, I believe. I'm predicting that they're going to work really hard, and I think Moore's going to lead the pack, obviously. But it just goes to show you that, this team has a lot of confidence, and a lot of that confidence is untapped right now. And so I believe that Moore will shoot. I'm not sure if he'll shoot better, but he's going to play better. And they're going to play hard because they're going to rally around him.
Okay, sorry about that. My next question is on Tim Miles, because I understand that he has a certain coaching pedigree, and I know that in your piece you're kind of referencing towards like this is sort of his first off season with the team where he can really get in and get these guys to work hard and sort of commit to building something here. But we didn't, and I understand that he has this sort of coaching pedigree that's followed him around for, when he came to San Jose State. This was a big buzz for us. This was a big surprise because we don't usually get these top head coaching jobs. But with an 8-23 record and 1-17 in Mountain Western Conference play, I didn't see that coaching pedigree sort of shine through. And I guess I'm starting to wonder, maybe there's a reason he took a job at San Jose State compared to a more prestigious program where maybe this was the only offer he had, or maybe he knew that this was going to be an offer that was going to be an easier job for him because there's no expectation to really win. So is there anything to that? Am I on or am I off about any of this? What do you say to that, Navin?
Honestly, I feel like Miles saw something in the Spartans that wasn't like there in other teams, as in, like he wanted to be like that, the role model, the role model that comes in and pushes players day to day and just wants to see players grow. Honestly, like you said, I think that he chose this. I think he did have a definitely like he wanted to come in and obviously this team isn't great, but I think it's a chemistry thing because honestly, 1-17 isn't. I think that's rock bottom for them. I think that they're going to get a lot better next year. Tim Miles, he's really a hell of a coach. I remember, I don't know, somewhere, I'm not sure. I recall watching him coach, and he was just. I mean, honestly, like there are a lot of coaches that are like, a bit like passive or like too abrupt, or like they work their players too hard. Like he just wants to see these guys grow, and honestly, I feel like he's gonna see that next season. But definitely, yeah, I would say that he saw something in San Jose State that he didn't see anywhere else, which is, like upside. I think that players have a lot of upside. They have a lot of like, untapped confidence, like I said. Um, honestly, I think we saw something in Moore and Diallo that like, we can work with this stuff. Like as a coach, you want to play players. You want to encourage you want to encourage players that have potential, and I think that you saw a lot in this team. I think that it's going to change, basically their winning percentage, obviously, but like the attitude of this team is going to change as they rally around Miles.
That actually leads me to my third question here. So, you talk in your piece about how Spartans sort of need to play with a little bit more fire, and what made me think of that was the one game that the Spartans played in the Mountain West tournament against a really good Fresno State team, where they lost, but they lost 67-69, so it was only by 2 points. And I'm just thinking like, hey, like we can actually ride with the big boys. When we play with the chip on our shoulder, when we actually play to our level, or play above ourselves. So then how do you think that we are able to push that? Because that's not something that occurs on the court. That's something that occurs, in your own head, right? As a team, that's sort of the attitude you take onto the court, more of your identity than actually any sort of skill. So who does that fall on to encourage that spirit and to get that sort of effort level out of the guys?
Oh, definitely the players themselves. I think that this team's a lot of heart. I think they showed that in the tournament. Honestly, if you look back in the tournament game and you look at how they played, you would never guess that they had that record that they did. And obviously, I think that opportunity the nice ignition. I think that coming in as a team like San Jose State, they're really hungry. It's hard to see it. You don't see these things because it's like I said, it's overshadowed by losing. And I don't think that this team is gonna lose the same that they did this year or this past season. But like at the same time, definitely takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of guts to play, to go in and say that, okay, we're the worst record possibly in a long time, and we went in and we played our game and we tried our hardest and we made it different. We made some noise. I feel like honestly, Mari Moore and Diallo, they're gonna rally around this team and start to advance as leaders. Honestly, one thing I want to say is that a lot of people look at San Jose State and they have doubts. And when I say that, I mean I don't mean the team is bad. The team isn't bad. They're a really good team. They're Division I team. I mean, obviously they work their asses off every day just to prove that. I honestly think that Diallo and Moore are gonna they're gonna set the standard next year, and I think that everyone will follow that, and hopefully they'll have more repeats as they had at the last game of the season against the Bulldogs, and so Fresno State. So honestly, to me, this is not the end of it. This is just the beginning, and I think this team's going to get better as it goes along. I think that we're going to see a very different Spartans team. We're going to see an ignited, a very a fiery, Coach Miles. I think we're going to see a lot of changes next year, and hopefully, my predictions go through. Knock on wood, that they improve by a drastic amount. I think that this team has a lot of they have a lot of guts. You can't go into a tournament game and almost win with the worst record in the whole Mountain West. and not get any noise. And I think they're going to feed off that noise. I think they have a quiet confidence. They have that the nuance, they have that nuance of like being full of heart and full of effort. And I think that they're going to use that to their advantage, and they're going to be a scrappy defensive team. They're going to play a lot smarter, and I think that they'll have a relatively successful season. And I'm not saying that in terms of what they did last year. I think that they'll have a successful season in terms of how hard they work and how they put in the work, and how Miles guides them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to say. If you look at our men's baseball team, they've already tripled their win total from last season. I believe they had about 6 wins last season. We're at around 21 now. So even in our record, I think is around 21 and 20. So we're just barely above 500. But having that significant of an improvement is a win, and it doesn't mean that we're the greatest team of all time now. So even though men's basketball didn't necessarily win that much, if they can almost double their win total, any sort of improvement is a win. When you're rebuilding a basketball team, I think it's important that you're not thinking of, okay, how can we be a championship team the next season, right? It's all about how can we just improve in general, just on your as a team. And I guess that kind of leads me to my next question for you is, I guess basketball is very different compared to football, because football is definitely a team oriented sport, and not one player on a football team can really revolutionize how a team plays, compared to basketball when you can add a player onto the court, and that one player can really do do a lot more damage for the team, and make them a lot better. So do you see anyone kind of having a breakout season next season that maybe puts the Spartans to that next level?
Honestly, I think that I haven't seen much of the team, but what I saw last season was that Moore's the alpha dog, and everyone else is like, I don't want to say they're bad. They're just like the thing is the way the Spartans have to play is taking baby steps. Just like you said, like it's hard to improve without it's hard to improve in the NCAA. And obviously, the Spartan spirit points in a great direction. But I think that Moore is going to have another breakout season. I think he's going to improve even more. I think Diallo is going to step up and be a defensive anchor. And I honestly think that the rest of the Spartans are going to start to learn that they can't just defer and shoot threes, and expect that the ball comes to them or they get opportunities. They have to work for it. And that's why I said, work smart, not hard. I think that a lot of what the Spartans are going through right now, it just resembles so much of college basketball. Like I wouldn't say they're rebuilding, but they are trying to regroup. Honestly, I believe this team has a lot of potential. I'm really high on this team. I feel like Moore is he's a stud, obviously, but the rest of the guys, man, they're really talented, and I hoping to see them exhibit that talent next year, because they work so hard, and they're so they have the right chip on their shoulder. They're just not playing the game the right way, and I think that literally that's all they're going to practice over the summer, is playing the game the right way, approaching the game the right way, approaching their days off the court manageably. And I feel like, yeah, I think the Spartans are good to go. I mean, a lot of what San Jose State has to build on, honestly, to me, is just attention to detail. Like I said, this team is really, I think they have a lot of potential. Like I said, I think they're gonna surprise everyone. I think that this team has a lot of upside. Like I said, they're gonna surprise a lot of people next season. I think it is going to trend in that direction. The Spartan spirit is going to reignite them.
Awesome. Is there anything that we haven't asked you yet that maybe you could speak to a little bit more about the Spartans coming into next year, or just anything else about this piece?
I wrote this piece knowing that rock bottom isn't forever. Honestly, I feel like well, you could say that I mean, it is a painful season, but pain is something to grow from, and I think that this team has a lot of upside. Like I said, I mean, pain is their motivation. So I mean, this team is going to be really motivated next year. I think they're going to come in and they're going to play a lot of games like they did the last one, the final the Mountain West tournament game against Fresno State. I think they're going to have a lot of games that are like surprising to people, and I don't think that's going to be coincidence because they work really hard. They have a great coach. Now it's just time to put the pieces of the puzzle together and like play basketball.
All right. Thanks so much, Navin, for coming on. Navin with the Spear. So you can go ahead and check out Navin's latest opinion article on the Spear, sjsu.com, or any of our other work or basketball coverage. You can all find it there. So thanks so much, Navin, for coming on.
Sure.